You already know you want to study in Germany and, of course, at one of the best universities, but which are actually the best ones? I'll break down the 5 highest ranked technical universities in Germany, what makes each one special and who they are really for. Not only that, but because I really try to help you the best I can, I went looking and now I found people from 3 of the 5 universities and interviewed them. So you will also get exclusive insights that you can only find on this channel. Number 5 is the Technical University of Dresden, or short, TU Dresden. And before we go into more detail here, we need to understand how it made the 5th place and why. For the top 5 picks, I researched German technical universities across the 3 most widely known rankings: the QS World University Ranking, the Times Higher Education Ranking, and the Shanghai Ranking. I would suggest you to stick through this whole video, because it is not only important which place which university is, but also what makes the university special, to see if it really is for you. But let's get back to the universities. TU Dresden is one of the few universities in Germany that's part of the Excellence Initiative. This is a government-backed program that basically says, hey, this is really good. They're doing amazing when it comes to research and innovation. So yes, it's not just a good university, it's officially one of the elite. If you're the kind of person who gets excited about the stuff that goes into building satellites, designing microchips, or inventing new materials that the world hasn't even heard of yet, this place should be on your radar. And fun fact, they have one of Europe's most powerful supercomputers, which is obviously super fast and also has more than 40 petabytes of storage. I had to look up what exactly that means, and turns out you would be able to store so many movies on that thing that it would take you more than 4,500 years to watch all of it. That's like starting to watch before the Great Pyramids were built, and you would still be watching today. That's insane. So if your research involves simulation, modeling, or anything that needs massive computing power, you'll definitely be in good hands. It's also a pretty big university. There are about 30,000 students. 40% of them are studying in something like engineering or computer science, but they also have other degrees in natural science, medicine, or social sciences. That means you'll be surrounded by a diverse academic environment and probably won't spend all your time with just engineers arguing over whether Python is better than C++, which obviously there's only one right answer for this, and you can fight about it in the comments. The semester contribution is 304 euros and 50 cents, so not a lot. Also quite affordable is the living cost in Dresden. Dresden is the capital of Saxony, has about 500,000 citizens, and honestly, it doesn't get the hype it deserves. It's scenic, with beautiful architecture, a lively student population, and one big advantage: it's affordable. The rent for student accommodation that is from the student union is between 100 to 400 euros. If you don't get student accommodation, which actually the majority doesn't get, you will still not pay a lot. The university itself has a state-of-the-art research facilities and well-funded labs. Students and researchers here work on everything from like energy systems and sustainable mobility to advanced chip technologies. And that brings me to a fun little nickname Dresden has earned over the years: Silicon Saxony. It's actually one of the leading semiconductor hubs in Europe. So if you're interested in the microelectronics or chip industry, this is probably the best place in Germany to study. All in all, TU Dresden is one of those universities that offer a great balance of academic excellence, affordability, and quality of life. This already sounds good, but there are 4 more universities on this list, which all of them are higher ranked than TU Dresden. So let's move on to number 4, one that's right in the middle of Germany's buzzing capital. This is the TU Berlin. You guessed it, it's in Berlin. And this one is for the ones of you who want a little more chaos, a lot more culture, and a lot of Döner kebab. TU Berlin isn't just a top-tier technical university, it's right in the heart of Germany's capital city, which means your student life will be very dynamic and fast-paced. Let's start with the academic side, before we get into some personal opinions of mine. There are 35,000 students, and the semester fee is 113 euros and 9 cents. I'm not gonna ask why those 9 cents were necessary. 73% of students here study engineering or computer science. TU Berlin is particularly strong in computer science, software engineering, and electrical engineering. If you're dreaming about designing algorithms, working on sustainable urban systems, or building smart cities of the future, this is one of the best places you could end up. The university has a sharp focus on urban technology, mobility, and sustainable development, which makes totally sense when you look around and realize that Berlin itself is basically a living laboratory for those ideas. I mean, they also have to do something in this area, since it's by far the biggest city in Germany with more than 3.7 million people. It's the city that never sleeps. Maybe that's also why TU Berlin helped develop the world's first noise-cancelling windows. Besides the rankings, Berlin is also a cool location. You're surrounded by startups, major tech companies, research institutes, and an ecosystem that loves hiring young, ambitious students, and the city itself is the most international and multicultural city in Germany. Internships? Plenty. Student jobs? everywhere. Access to global events, conferences, and career fairs, all within a bike ride away, even though the bike ride might take you an hour because the city is so big. That's one of the biggest drawbacks in my opinion, but it's just that I personally like smaller cities better. But yeah, here you'll be able to find countless cool part-time job opportunities, at least if you get the job. But that's not always easy, and you really have to know how to find the right jobs for you, and you also increase your chances of getting the best opportunities with having some training for writing the perfect CV and cover letter, as well as knowing which job fits your profile. And for exactly that reason, I'm working on a format together with 2 recruiters from the IT and engineering sector to help you with it. You're still in the process, but if you're interested, you can click the link in the video description. It will take you to the so-called Career Collective. This is basically a waiting list and newsletter. You just drop your email address and that's it. You'll get updates, tips and insights about jobs in Germany every once in a while. When you are finished, you'll be the first to know and you can get early access. You can also help us to shape the course by filling in some extra information so that we know what you need. So again, if that sounds interesting to you, click on the link of the Career Collective in the video description. The campus of the TU Berlin is in West Berlin. It's central, lively, and right next to a huge park. So I bet there are a lot of students hanging out there in the breaks, but let's ask Hendrik, who is studying there. I want to know about the campus. Is it like one spot or is it spread out?
There's the main campus that is, yeah, that's fairly large. It's not like one whole closed area. It's tiny campuses on both sides of a very big street. It is pretty nice. It's very green.
Yeah, it's right next to
and
the zoo garden. I don't know how to say
yeah,
that.
there's a big park right next to it. That's very nice. But it's definitely not the most beautiful campus of every university in Germany.
But I feel like that's maybe a common theme around technical universities. I feel
Yeah.
like they're mostly just functional. Are courses available in English?
In the bachelor's degree, there are no courses in English. You can take courses in English, but most will be in German. In the master's degree, it's going to be different. There will be more courses held in English as well.
How do you think is the university itself, or how is studying there? And also maybe what is there that you don't like?
Well, first of all, what I like is especially the offering of courses. There are so many interesting courses that it's very, very difficult to do every course you'd like to in just one major. What I very much like is that many courses are held in like a project format. Yeah, another aspect I like very much is that the university is very close to the industry, and there are many courses held by industry experts. What I don't like about the TU Berlin, is that there's a big mess regarding organizational issues. It's very, very difficult to enroll in the programs, to enroll in courses. The IT infrastructure is very hard to understand. There are different platforms with similar purposes, and I think that's an issue on other universities as well.
Definitely, yeah. What would you say? How's the workload?
It very much depends on whether you want to finish your program in the foreseen time. There's going to be a lot of work, especially in the bachelor's degree, where there are difficult courses, difficult mathematical courses. So yeah, it's going to be very stressful. But for everyone else, there's not really a limit on how long you can study. So you can basically study as fast as you like in some time frames, of course. I think credits at TU Berlin are earned hard, but most of the credits are fair and most of them reflect the time that you have to spend on a course.
One thing I want to mention here is that it's actually very normal that students maybe take 1 or 2 semesters longer. Like, of course, there will always be students who finish it on time, but it's also, there are lots of students who take 1 or 2 semesters longer. That's very normal. How would you say is the situation with job opportunities, career options, maybe also during the studies, but also after your graduation?
I think this is something that TU Berlin is taking fairly seriously. They really try to make you offerings regarding that. There's a careers center. They're going to try to build your career. They will have a lot of offerings regarding CV checks and interview trainings and stuff like that. So I think that's definitely a strength for Technical University Berlin. And I think that many companies value graduates from TU Berlin.
Now let's quickly touch on the cost of living. Berlin used to be famous for being cheap, especially for a capital compared to other capitals, but that reputation, it's fading. Rents have been climbing, especially in areas close to the center. So here it definitely means that you have to be a bit more strategic with your housing search and put a lot of effort into it, and you just have to know how the housing market here works in Germany. And those are like the three main drawbacks in my opinion. First of all, living cost, then the size of the city. Maybe that's cool for you. I personally, as I said, I'm not a fan of it. And then the third one, housing market. Insane. Besides that, and if you think about it, those were not points about the TU Berlin. It's rather about Berlin. All in all, TU Berlin is ideal for students who want to combine serious technical education with the vibrancy and opportunities of a global capital city. Let's keep going. Next up is one of Germany's most research-focused and innovative institutions. The sun is coming out. The Karlsruhe Institute of Technology, or short KIT. That's why some people actually call it the MIT of Germany, but no pressure. KIT might just be your dream university. It's a bit unique in the German university landscape. It's not just a university. It's also one of Germany's largest national research institutions. That means it operates with the brainpower of a university and the resources of a government-backed research lab. The university is a bit smaller than the others on this list, with only 20,000 students, but the city of Karlsruhe is also quite small, with only about 300,000 citizens. 60% of the students study engineering and computer science, and another 20% study natural sciences and math. The semester fee is 180 euros and 20 cents. I don't get why they wouldn't just make it 180 euros, but well. Anyway, academically, KIT is especially well known for fields like computer science, energy technologies, and material science. And it's also strong in engineering, mathematics, physics, and environmental sciences. One thing students love about the KIT is the professor-to-student ratio, which is better than what you would find at many other large universities. That means easier access to your professors, smaller lab groups, and better support when you need it. And because the university is so research-heavy, professors are usually deeply involved in what they teach. The people there reach for the stars. Quite literally. KIT was actually the first university in Germany to launch its own satellite. KIT also has very strong ties to the industry, especially to major players like SAP, Bosch, Siemens, and Mercedes. This opens up a lot of doors for internships, thesis projects, and future employment. The city of Karlsruhe might not be as internationally famous as Berlin or Munich, but don't let that fool you. Karlsruhe is one of Germany's top innovation hubs, especially in tech. The city is compact, green, and easy to get around, and it has a very student-friendly vibe. Rents are a lot more reasonable compared to big cities on this list, and the pace of life is just right. Not too sleepy, not too overwhelming. I personally like it a lot because, as I already said, I like smaller cities. My former roommate studied there, and he said it was so cool that all of his friends lived close by and the community there was really strong. Alright, that's number 3. And we're just getting into the big names. Up next is a technical university with one of the most powerful alumni networks in the country, and that also has a virtual reality underground mine that is used for teaching. Let's talk about the RWTH Aachen. This is the number 2 on this list. And yes, if you have spent more than 5 minutes researching engineering in Germany, you've probably already stumbled across this name. The semester fee there is 318 euros and 66 cents. I get confused by those numbers and they're not round, and the RWTH Aachen has built a global reputation for excellence in engineering, natural sciences, and technology. The research output here is enormous, and the facilities are world-class. In other words, if you want to study hard and then get hired fast, Aachen gives you the tools and the network to make that happen. You'll find yourself working in massive labs, participating in high-tech research, and collaborating with students from all over the world who are just as motivated as you are. And honestly, some of the buildings really look cool. Each year, thousands of international students join the university, especially at the master's level. Most bachelor programs are still taught in German. So if you're just starting out with learning German, you're not fluent, or if you don't speak any German at all, that could be a barrier. If you want to study German by yourself at your pace, you can check out German course of Max, which is quite affordable. He made it together with 2 German teachers, and the link is in the video description. Now, Aachen isn't Berlin or Munich. It's not massive, but it's 100% a student town. In the city, there only live 250,000 people, and 23%, so almost a quarter of that, are students. The university dominates the city in the best way possible. The cost of living in Aachen is also a huge plus. Compared to cities like Munich or Frankfurt, housing is way more affordable. You'll still need to start early and hunt carefully, but you won't be spending your entire part-time job paycheck on rent.
My name is Max. I'm studying computer science. I'm currently writing my master's thesis.
What do you think of the university? How's the teaching like?
In the first semester, there will be a lot of people in the same lecture. Like, I think we started with 1,000 students in computer science. Yeah, so it's not as personal. But once you get to the master's level, and depending on what courses you take, like some are still very big, but some can also be relatively small, and then it's a bit more personal.
Would you say it's more theory heavy or rather like on practice-oriented courses?
Definitely more theory heavy, especially the first semesters in the bachelor. There will be a lot of stuff where you think, why do I need to know this? But yeah, you kind of build up on the theory as you go through your degree. And yeah, a lot comes back in the masters, not in as much detail, but there are still some things where you think, oh yeah, I had this in the first semester or something. As I said, in the first semesters, it's a lot of theory, but there are also some practical courses. At least in computer science, you have basically like a practical course where you have to program something on microcontroller.
Are the courses generally taught in English?
Yeah, master's completely in English, bachelor only electives.
How's the campus like?
There's not really the one campus. Everything is like distributed in the city. Like, of course, it's more like in one half of the city. But yeah, other than that, it's like distributed in this city. And where you are depends on what you study. But it's quite funny walking through the city and then seeing like the logo of your university and thinking, this building belongs to my university. I never knew that.
How is it with the job market?
I mean, for student jobs, you have a lot of opportunities, I would say. Like, I'm currently working at a computer science chair as a student research assistant. So that's always an opportunity. And also, if you only speak English, that's not a problem. You also have the Fraunhofer Institute, which has a lot of student jobs, where it's also no problem if you don't speak German. Or like generally, just that there will also be companies that offer student jobs. So that's also an opportunity. But I don't know, maybe there it's better if you can speak German. I don't know. I think it depends.
What would you say do you like about the university? And maybe it's just something that you don't like that much.
What I like at the master's level is you're really free to choose what you want to do. Like, of course, there are some requirements, but there's not one course that you have to do. Like, it's just you have the different areas, and then you can choose courses from these areas to your liking. Yeah, that's what I really like.
Is there something that you don't like that much?
The first year is always, but I think that's also at other universities the same. Like, the beginning is always the hardest. You come from high school and the teaching style is really different. That's something I dislike. Because for my course of study, maybe 80 to 90%, it's just an exam at the end, like for most courses.
And that exam makes up 100% of your grade, basically.
Yeah, it may happen that you have to do exercises weekly to get the admission for an exam, so that you are even allowed to write the exam. But then still, your final grade will depend on the exam. I mean, it's like single point of failure, like it all comes down to the one moment, and then if you, I don't know, fumble at this moment, then your grade gets
If you have
worse.
a bad day, yeah.
But still, if you pull through it, you get at least a way of thinking, like this logical thinking that really helps you to understand similar content faster. And like, at least when I look at myself, how I was before I started studying and how I am now, looking back that, you pulled through even though it was hard, like you really grow from the experience, I would say.
So the RWTH Aachen is big, ambitious, demanding, and incredibly well connected. If you're serious about engineering, want to be surrounded by sharp minds, and don't mind putting in the work, this is one of the best places in Germany, if not Europe, to launch your academic and professional career. It's not easy, but nothing worth doing ever is. Alright, we've now seen 4 amazing universities, but coming up next is one that sits right at the top of the ranking. Let's talk about TUM, the Technical University of Munich. Recently, it became the #1 university in the EU. Honestly, not because of its progress or anything, rather just because Switzerland, where the ETH is, was never part of the EU, and now, because of Brexit, well, all of the prestigious universities left the EU, so good for TUM. Anyway, TUM is the kind of place where students work on AI, robotics, aerospace, quantum computing, and yes, even Hyperloop prototypes. That's not a joke. Like, TUM students actually built a Hyperloop pod that Elon Musk awarded. Whether you're into building things, coding them, modeling them, or researching them down to the atomic level, you'll find a department at TUM that not only teaches it, but also leads the world in it. But with great reputation comes, well, great expectations. TUM is known for being very competitive and demanding. And while that might sound intimidating, it also means you're surrounded by people who genuinely care about what they're doing. The university's very own entrepreneurship center, called the Unternehmertum, it helps students launch their own startups, find funding, and build scalable businesses, some of which have become global success stories. Now let's talk about the location. Munich itself. The city is clean, safe, high-tech, and full of life. You've got stunning alpine views. Literally from the university building you can see the Alps, which is quite cool, I think. It sounds like a dream, and in many ways it is. But here comes the big catch. Munich is expensive, like very expensive. Rent is high, and so is basically everything else. It is the most expensive city in Germany, which is kind of a pain in the ass, honestly. It's not that it's just a bit more expensive than smaller cities. It's like double the amount what you pay for rent, which honestly is not cool. But that's the way it is here. If you're on a tight student budget, you'll need to plan smart and get creative for side jobs. One of the biggest levers you can take is, of course, finding housing that is cheaper than average. Because on average, you'll pay 800 euros for one room in a shared flat in Munich. So if you can find something that is, let's say, 50 to 100 or 200 euros cheaper, like for example this room, it's like 600 something euros now. This already saves me like 2,500 euros in a year compared to what the average people would pay for rent. I'm very happy with this now, but I can tell you this took a while and it wasn't very easy for me, and it's very normal that it just takes a while to find something. Most people struggle for like 1 to 3 months until they find something, maybe even a bit more. When I first moved to Munich, I was writing lots and lots of applications for flats, but most of the time, honestly, I got just rejected, which was super frustrating. Not even just rejected, I just didn't get a reply. I felt ghosted by like hundreds of people, which sucked. And it was super frustrating because the information I found online didn't seem to be enough to find something good. And I wanted to find something for a good price, because if I study here for several years, the costs add up quickly and I basically lose money every month with a more expensive accommodation. It took me several weeks for testing and trying out how to apply until I managed to find out how everything works, which was a lot of effort. But then suddenly I got several invitations to visit several shared flats within a week, which then felt so good to finally have something. I have collected all of the insights that I gained in the Rental Roadmap, a course where you can learn how to find housing in Germany's biggest cities. I interviewed dozens of students for finding out even more tips, and also put a bunch of resources for you in there as a bonus, like checklists and application templates and so on, so that this is as helpful as possible. And if you're interested, then you can click on the link in the video description and go to the Rental Roadmap. Anyway, even though living in Munich can feel pricey and it's tough to find housing, it also gives you access to Germany's strongest job market. So yes, it's expensive, but it's also an investment that pays off. Maybe, not sure. At least if you don't have to pay the tuition fees that TUM recently introduced. The tuition fees are expensive and you will need to pay several thousands of euros for each semester if you're from outside of the EU. So even though I like studying at TUM a lot, and the city itself as well, I would honestly say that I would strongly think about if that is worth it to you, if you would have to pay those tuition fees. Because after all, there are many other amazing technical universities in Germany that don't charge tuition fees, and where the living costs are also cheaper.
What would you say is the first semester like at TUM? Yeah, I think pretty much to what Max said already. First semester is very different from school. Like you sit suddenly with 700 people in one room, so that's very, very different. Also, the exams are very different in school. You had like, I don't know, a test maybe every couple of weeks. And now you have one big test in the end. And I was very confident in my first semester. I was like, the other guy told me, yeah, I started studying a month before the exam starts. I was like, why would you do that? And then I obviously didn't study 1 month before, and I failed my exams. I'm gonna be honest, not all of them. I failed one. 2 of them were very, very bad, and the other 2 were okay-ish. But yeah, definitely a huge change. But you adjust over time, and everything gets easier over time. So don't worry too much. The first semester is gonna be tough, but that's how it is, and you really grow as a person, as Max said. I think Max's phrase is very beautiful. Nice, thank you. How about the student life? I do like the student life here a lot. There are many people who just build amazing things. I'm pretty sure that's similar for most of the other universities as well. But what I like here a lot is you have all kinds of hackathons and challenges and competitions, and yeah, sometimes I'm a bit overwhelmed to which things I want to go because, well, time is limited. And if you go to every event at every week, like you won't have time to do anything else. Amazing. Okay, last question. I would be interested about the campus. That's a very funny topic, at least in my opinion. There is a campus, a very small campus in the city center. I actually made a video about that, so you can definitely check that out. Besides that, there are buildings scattered around the city a bit, but There's one big campus in Garching, which is a little bit located outside of Munich. Most of the math and engineering and chemistry, physics, and so on, like a lot of it is happening there. And the campus, I like it a lot. It's beautiful. It's an actual campus. But then there are 3 more campuses. There's Freising, which is even further outside. So from the Munich Central Station. So even if you're already at the Central Station, it'll still take you an hour to get to the campus. And there is everything related to life sciences. And there's beer brewery. So if you want to study how to brew beer academically correct, you can do that there. There you have like agriculture, forest science, and so on. This is also not even the furthest, because for my bachelor's, I studied at the campus for sustainability and biotechnology, which is in Straubing. And to get to Straubing, it takes 2.5 hours from the central station. So it's like, it's definitely not, it's not Munich anymore. But then there's the campus of Heilbronn, and it takes 4 hours to get there by train. It's definitely not Munich, even Karlsruhe. So remember the 3rd place, Karlsruhe. It's quite close to Karlsruhe. I don't know how it's possible to have a campus in Karlsruhe. And by the way, TUM also has a campus in Singapore. Don't ask me. And what you have to be aware of is that if you study in, let's say, Straubing or Heilbronn, you will definitely not live in Munich anymore. And even for Freising, most people who study in Freising also live in Freising, which I think is actually an advantage because the rent in Munich is very high. Oh, and by the way, if you're interested in studying at TUM and want to know a bit more, you can also check out the other videos that I made, because I started off making videos about TUM.
So in summary, it's not the easiest place to study, and Munich's price tag might hurt your wallet a bit, honestly a lot. But if you're the kind of person who wants to be at the cutting edge of technology, to collaborate with brilliant minds and from around the world, and to study in an environment that consistently pushes you to innovate, then you're at the right place. In a second, I'll give my personal opinion on this, but let me know what you think of the universities and what you want to see in the comments. Now, my personal opinion. With all of these universities, you can literally not go wrong. All of them have amazing opportunities for you, but the workload might be a bit higher than somewhere else. I would say you will adjust to it over time, and it will teach you a lot about yourself. Germany has amazing universities and amazing opportunities. Especially cool is that at most universities, not TUM, at most universities you don't have to pay tuition fees, which makes very high quality education more affordable. And I like that a lot because it brings on more international people, which is very cool. Every university, no matter whether they're on this list or not, have a lot of opportunities, and you can have an amazing time during your studies and a great career ahead, no matter which university you will go to. Of course, the universities on this list might have better opportunities in some areas, and especially internationally. This will increase your chances of a good career, but the most important decision is not where you move, but what you make out of it. So stay open and curious and chase your dreams. I'm rooting for you. Keep growing. And there's a video.